window, which was about 40 feet wide, I felt I could reach out and touch those majestic mountains. For the truth is, I felt on top of the world in that 4-bedroom palace with its separate maids' quarters in the heart of Bogota nightlife. It was all too big and too grand for a bachelor from Texas, but it was a great place to bring my dates. They were always stunned by the view, which frankly made seduction all that much easier. It was a far cry from my boxy 1-bedroom in Austin, which impressed no one, least of all me. Little did I know that my life of luxury was about to end that Saturday afternoon when I heard Bruce's tremulous voice on the phone. He didn't say much, and I could tell from his breathing that he was trying to steady his voice, to remain as calm as possible. At that moment, I knew my life was in grave danger. "Javier, listen to me. Go get your gun, leave everything else behind, and get the hell out of there," he said. "Sorry, but there's no time to explain. It's Escobar. He knows where you are." It's Escobar. He knows where you are. I searched for my weapon, a 9mm semi-automatic pistol, and headed to the elevator, scanning the hallways like a frightened fugitive, watching to see if anyone was lurking in the corners or behind a door. My hands shook as I pressed the elevator button, and every few seconds I felt for my waist holster to make sure that my gun was in place. Somehow, it was reassuring to graze the cold metal with my fingertips. "Calma, calma, Javier. Tranquilo, hombre." I heard the voice of my abuela, the toughest person I knew. She'd once stood up to would-be burglars in our home in Laredo, and also got me out of countless difficult situations. "Tranquilo, tranquilo." I rushed through the garage, furtively looking around to make sure no one was following me. I felt for my gun and unlocked the door of my OGV, official government vehicle, which in my case was a bulletproof Ford Bronco. As I started the engine with a roar, I immediately realized that I hadn't bothered to check under the chassis for explosives. Thankfully, the truck didn't blow up, and I screeched out of the underground garage and gunned it to the U.S. Embassy, which was only a few miles away. I thought of my grandmother, and willed myself to breathe deeply as I sat in what seemed like endless Bogota traffic. I chose to go through the most congested route to the embassy because I figured that I could easily blend into a traffic jam and become anonymous. I breathed a long sigh of relief when I saw the steel gates of the embassy, which was built like a fortress. Bruce met me at the DEA offices, which were next to the embassy garage when I arrived. I never found out if Escobar had planned to kill me or just kidnap me, an important American pawn in his battle against extradition. Our intel was that he had ordered his sicarios to find the Mexican DEA guy, which could only be me, since I was the only American of Mexican origin on staff. Escobar's men didn't have the exact address, but they knew that I lived at the corner of 7th and 72nd, and it would be a matter of a few days, or even a few hours, before they traced me to my building, where I was one of the only gringos in residence. Between the CNP and the DEA intelligence experts, we tried our best to get to the bottom of the threat, but couldn't find anything. That night, I moved into a safe house that the embassy had set aside for emergencies like mine. After a few weeks passed, with no new threats from Escobar's people, Bruce found me an apartment in Los Rosales, close to where the U.S. ambassador lived. It was a much fancier part of the city, cut with manicured hedges, lavish mansions, and beefy private security dressed in black, heavily armored, and carrying walkie-talkies. I missed my downtown airy. But I didn't miss it that much. Knowing that the world's biggest drug dealer is actively looking for you is unnerving, to say the least. For weeks after the threat and my flight from my beloved apartment, I couldn't relax. Sleep was elusive. But if you want to know the truth, my biggest fear was that the DEA was going to send me home, for my own protection. So I downplayed the threat.